using a piece of software called Ray Drive, and it's free, and it allows you to map your cloud drives as letters, right? So I'll get into that. I'll introduce you guys to that at a later date. But in here, I've got a global folder. There is a latency as well because it's streaming live off your cloud drive. But it's pretty good. I like having my cloud drives there as drive letters, right? So I'm going to come in here and I've got my interface and I got my ZBrush interface so I can save a few of these. I think I'll probably call this AK car because I'm coming to you live from the backseat of my car, right? So that'll be, I'll just leave it at that. I'm going to add another underfies the version numbering a little bit and then we'll save that guy off. Now, I started mapping out this particular character maquette using, again, a technique I've never used before. Just sort of going with the flow in terms of digital sculpting. But in retrospect, I don't think I'd use this approach again. I think maybe I might have, if I were to attack this character again, I'd probably go the Z-sphere, armature, and Z-sketching route. And then figure out how I would smooth the character out later. But it doesn't matter because we have enough geometry there to sort of make it work. Why is this taking forever to save? Holy cow. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there are running into like crazy Wi-Fi issues. You know, it's everyone's online these days, right? Just until we get past this COVID-19 business. Okay, so there we go. All right, so that's just a quick look at customizing a UI. I ignored this section of ZBrush for years to my own detriment, I think. You can pull off the different functions from here. The transparency one is the one I'm always kind of after. But let's bring our character model back. Now, you notice that the geometry disappeared for a while there. That's sort of a graphics adapter thing, I believe, right? Okay, so I want to come in here. There's a few things that I sort of want to kind of experiment with today, right? So one of the big things that I want to do is let's get this character joined up first of all. Actually, let's bring that. You can see why I brought the fill mode slider up here because I know I'm going to be using it constantly. So let's get, first of all, a look at what's happening with the polygroups here, right? Okay, cool. So we got that kind of going on. Now, what I want to do is I want to merge this down, right? So I'm going to grab that subtool with my main maquette here, and I'm just going to go into the merge button, and I'm going to merge this guy down. And I'm going to click always OK, because I hate that menu popping up constantly. So I'm just going to merge down. So merging down will allow me to take a look at what the polygons are doing, especially in terms of these polygroups. So I want to bring this all into the same sort of contiguous piece of geometry. So I'm going to come down here and I can either Z-remesh the whole thing or I can just turn on Dynamesh. I prefer turning on Dynamesh. Dynamesh is turned on at a resolution of 256, which may be a tad high at this stage, right? I'm going to come down to 128 and give Control left mouse button drag in the window. Yeah, that's good enough, right? I mean, you don't need a crazy poly count. And then actually when you lower the poly count, it sort of does a little bit of smoothing for you. Sort of, right? In fact, if we take a look at this again, let's try and bring it down to 64. We really, really, really don't need that much geometry. And in fact, it works against you if there's too much geometry going on. I might actually pop up here just because that didn't seem to do anything. So let's just, in geometry, let's just go ahead and Z-remesh this guy, right? So I'm going to Z-remesh this down to half polys. The Z-remesh algorithm has gotten really, really good over the years. Now, you can see what happened. It brought this together into the same poly group. I don't mind that at all. I don't need to cut these apart or do anything with it for the time being. I might Z-remesh one more time because, again, the polygon is really high. And one more. It's getting closer to kind of something that I think is a little bit more workable, right? Okay, so that's cool. I'm going to turn off the polyframe and There we go. Okay, so here's a weird sort of characteristic of ZBrush. There's a point where ZBrush will go and apply hard edges to everything. So I found that when I bring a character mesh or a piece of geometry into Maya for further work, the first thing I generally have to do is do a really quick normal smooth. That just makes sure that all the normal transitions happening over those edges just smooth out, right? So you don't see all that faceting. Apparently this is not an issue with Unreal Engine 5 though. So those of you guys who've seen my streams from last night know what I'm on about. All right, so let's, the first thing I want to do is bring that head in. Now, there are a few things, as I was reviewing this, there are a few things that bug me, right? So the pose is working from there and there, but when I hit there, there's something wrong with her pose. It's just not working. So I need to come back and fix that, right? But one of the things I wanted to do was pop a head in there straight away. I just want to get kind of a feel for it, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is come here and append a sphere. It'll automatically convert it to a Polymesh 3D, which is cool. Actually, you know what I might do is with that subtool selected, I might initialize this bad boy simply because it'll give me something that's a little bit easier to shape, right? Not a huge deal, really, guys. Maybe I'll initialize this with slightly higher resolution. And then there we go. Like I was saying, it's not a huge deal, guys, right? Because you can work as high resolution as you want. But I just find that the sooner you get control of your resolutions, the easier life becomes, right? I'm going to switch over to draw mode. Now, the curious thing that I've found over time, and I don't know how this happened, it's just one of these things, I find myself switching between my mouse and my Cintiq pen, depending on what I'm doing. It's just bizarre. I never thought, once the Cintiq came out, I was like, okay, I can draw right on the screen. I am never using the mouse again. Interestingly enough, and I did it entirely unconsciously, I found myself incorporating the mouse in my workflow in terms of the stuff I was doing in ZBrush. Don't ask me why. All right, so I'm looking for the snake hook brush, and I want to turn on X symmetry. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get a shaping on this head at the 90-degree angle first, right? Because I was finding it was quite difficult. Whoops. Did I not turn on X symmetry? Come on, guys. Oh, that's right. It's not topological symmetry. So, yes, it's spatial symmetry. So what I need to do is, oh my God, where's topological symmetry again? So I think that was it under stroke modifier? Lordy, lordy, lordy. Too many features, too many tools, too many things to think about. Okay, so that would... symmetry was under one of these menus. No, don't send me to Google. No. Transform menu. Transform, activate symmetry. Here we go. So let's use posable symmetry. How does this work again? So hit the X symmetry button, and so transforms. I think I had to select. Okay, yeah, I am going to have to go over to. It's been a while since I did a non-symmetrical character model, right? So posable symmetry ZBrush. Let's check it out, guys. All right. Activate symmetry, set tool, geometry, subdiv to the highest level of resolution you will be sculpting at. Press either X, Y, Z, depending on the axis. No, that's straight up symmetry. So I'm clicking on more items just in case they expand on this a little bit later on in their document, right? So let's see. There we go. Posable symmetry. That's what I'm after. Smart Resim technology. There we go. So to use posable symmetry, transform, activate symmetry, tool, geometry, subdiv to the highest level, press X, Y, Z, press transform, use posable symmetry. If your model's topology is not 100% symmetrical from one side to the other, the tool will fail. Okay, yeah, I thought so. That should have worked. So we are, right? And we're under transform and posable symmetry. It doesn't work. Why? It's just a simple, the X symmetry. Wonder if it's interfering with that one. 0% symmetry points found. Symmetry map was not stored. Okay. So it doesn't like this. It doesn't think it's a symmetrical object. So I'm just going to try again. Let's delete this guy. Because I'm very sort of curious to see what this tool's algorithm keys on, right? So when I hit X symmetry, we got symmetry here, right? So now if I come over here and initialize this, so we set our initialization 4, 4, and 4, right? So I'm going to initialize, oh no, not that one. This guy, right? I hit X symmetry, there we go, right? So I'm going to come down here and we're going to initialize this at 4, 4, and 4, right? Okay, cool. Let's zoom in, right? It should be at world 0, 0, 0, right?